How's it going? I hope you're doing... I genuinely hope you're doing just as good as I'm doing today. Man, lots of new things to cover. I'm very, very excited about this video. I just jumping right into the topic just because, as you can probably tell, 2 seconds in, I'm changing up a little bit. I don't know if I guess this would be labeled kind of like more vlog type than what I'm used to doing, but I thought it'd be cool to kind of like give like a full representation of like what I'm doing throughout the day, how I'm fucking shit up, and just, you know, getting to the gym and whatever. I just thought I'd spice it up a little bit. But in general, I have been really excited to try a lot of new things out lately. You know, when it comes to these videos, when it comes to how I lift, how I mentally apprehend the everyday things that I'm doing and turning them into even more of a passion project. I'm trying to teach myself how to love life even more, I guess you could say. But before I get ahead of myself, physically, I can tell you I am feeling at a whopping, just a flat 9 actually. It's still pretty whopping, but I feel great. I feel very up to beat. You know, I took 2 days off in a row. It is genuinely the first time I've given myself 2 days off in what feels like almost like, if you don't count the one family trip that I couldn't say no to, where I was on the side of a snow mountain for a whole week, it's probably been almost a year and a half now since I've given myself that kind of time off. Like, the last time I took more than a day off at a time was when I was brutally sick. So it was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow. But last week, finishing the peak week of the program I was running, I literally felt like my shoulder was melting off the bone by the end of it, which obviously is not a good thing. It does not mean that I'm just putting in the work. That means I am killing myself. Like, it's not good when you feel that shooting pain nearly every time you're lifting, you know, that you got to kind of take a step back. I dropped the weight more than I wanted to. I think I had a lot more in me when it came to certain lifts like the bench, and at the end of it, I was just like, I didn't know what to do, because doing the full lifts just wasn't an option. So, you know, I was doing blocks and powers. But anyway, I feel rejuvenated today. I'm going to explain it, but we're trying out a new programming style, which I'm sure you guys have heard me say 1,000 fucking times. But being open to change is a really fucking important thing. I think it leads to the greatest levels of success possible in whatever you're doing. But regardless, mentally, goddamn, 9.7, easily. I don't know what the highest it's been before. I feel like there's been a 9.8, but solid 9.7. Like, I feel amazing, genuinely. My body has zero pain. I feel fully mobile. I feel exhilarated. I feel like I put in a shit ton of effort and intensity, even though I didn't even push that heavy a weight. And this kind of experience is showing me how important it is to remain open-minded and, you know, keep reminding myself that there's never going to be a clear-cut way to doing things. There is never going to be a perfect way to apprehend what your passions are and how you're going to complete them to the fullest, you know, long term. Your body's always changing. Your mind is always changing. So it's kind of why I like giving the little rating. Like, it's not me trying to be quirky or anything. It shows you how susceptible our minds and bodies are to change. You know, every day it could just flip on a fucking dime. You know, I can consistently have some good 8s and 9s, and some days I'm just gonna pop on here and be like, it's a 5. Fuck everything. You know, it happens. But because I push through those dog shit days, I get myself to a point where I can do way better in the future. I learn from those mistakes. Not even mistakes. I don't regret anything. I don't think mistakes have to be mistakes to the definitive level. You know, I think that every mistake you make, as long as you maintain passion and consistency and discipline, you know, just loving what you're doing and staying on your shit, you will make progress tenfold because of pushing through those horrible, awful days where you don't know what to do. But beyond that, you know, I'm rambling a lot because, if you've been watching for a while, there are those days where I become a fucking yapper, and I can't help but just go off about this shit because I love it. I feel like I apologize to half the people I meet because I love talking about this shit. It makes me twice as passionate expressing this with other people and having like-minded individuals feel the same way. So, and even just add on to that, having people with different perspectives makes it twice as fun. It's so endearing to see how many variables there are in this sport and anything you do, because it's never one way. Even if you're the best, if you're number one, that's not the best way. It may have been your best way, but I guarantee you probably still got more in you. Every person has more and more and more potential than they realize, no matter what they are viewed as statistically. That's just the way I see it. I think everybody's got a little bit more in them, and it's just a matter of sticking to that trial and error and trying literally everything. And not just trying everything to try whatever for bullshit reasons, but trying everything with intent, with desire to do better, to want to improve. It's what drives humans. But anyway, I think it's so important to recognize the absolute skill and art that being able to change really is. Because a lot of people would just be like, oh, you got to be open-minded about some things. You want to make sure you've got a good head on your shoulders about certain topics. But I think it just goes so much deeper than that. It's not just a matter of a good head on your shoulders or just being a little bit more available to different perspectives. It's really diving into them and telling yourself, what does this mean for me? And what does this mean for other people? You have no idea what other people are thinking. You just can't. Nobody can. You can analyze as hard as you want and try to find the root of people's mental status and just the reasons for why they do them. But again, it's hard to even pick apart your own brain. There's so many factors in life that make everything so ambiguous, but that constant chase to find out what the answer to the mystery is of why you do what you do is what keeps you doing it. People continue completing a puzzle when they do it, not because they feel obligated to or whatever. They're constantly like, oh man, I don't know where that piece is, I guess I just gotta look around. And that's why people will find the corner pieces first, and then they'll find the line pieces, and then they'll try to find things that match up with the picture. It's finding new ways to think about complex things to make them even more efficient every step of the way along the line. So I don't mean to get super metaphorical or anything. I feel like it was a good example. But anyway, because of all this stuff going on, I'm back in Alabama with my girlfriend, having a good time. So I thought, after last program not going the way I wanted it to at the end, I talked to a lot of people. Getting other people's perspective is great for finding new inspiration on what to work on. It's very overwhelming, I'll tell you that. Don't expect to get new perspective and not be overwhelmed. Because I got my homie Desmond, and that boy sent me at least a full 1,500-word essay. And I fucking appreciate the hell out of it. Because the amount of perspective I gained and the experience that I gained just through seeing someone else's experience is a whole different world, It's not just the things that you go through. It's how you compare and analyze what you do to other people. And I'm not saying comparing they pick up bigger numbers, so what they're doing is obviously better. No. You take your own experiences and see how what feels good for you correlates for what feels good for other people. Be like, why are they feeling good with these things that I don't do? And why am I feeling bad with these things that I currently do? And what can I kind of swap in and out to see what works best? So what I'm working with right now that I kind of came up with, I don't know, I have not written the full thing out, but my programs have typically gone for 4 to 6 weeks, progressively getting a little bit longer every time because, as you get older and it's harder to get that progression and you fatigue a lot easier, you got to be open to a longer training cycle. And so now I'm moving to the point where I'm doing training blocks. So a full cycle on a program is going to be about 3 to 4 months is I think what I'm going to estimate it to be about. And then there's going to be 3 separate blocks. because I really love, like, I've always worked really well with progressive overload. And I'm like, okay, if I work well with progressive overload, and I've worked well on certain days of the last program I did where I was just rep maxing every day for however much energy I had in me, I was like, let's see what days I felt at my fucking peak on my rep max program, and then what days on the program I did before that was percentage based with sets and reps already written out before I got to the gym, and see which days felt the best and how can we slam all these different ideas together. And again, my homie sent me a lot of what he had gone through and his type of rep schemes, which gave me a little bit of relief of what I was thinking about doing, because it's really hard to dive into a whole new level of training and a whole new way of completing it, especially when it's so long term and you don't exactly know how it's going to work out. It's intimidating, and again, that's why I love it. But I'll sit there and look at my computer for hours just thinking about what to put in that next blank, and I just won't be able to write anything because it's almost impossible to predict. You never really know what's going to happen. And so I'm going to start running it to where the first block, which is going to be about a month, will be my highest volume. It'll be like triples on Olympic, sets of 6 on power. And then the second block, doubles on Olympic, sets up 4 on power. And then on the peak block, the third block, it'll be all singles on Olympic and all doubles on power lifts. And I really want to see how this turns out. I don't expect it to be perfect by any fucking means. But I think it'll be a really good opportunity to see how my knowledge has truly grown, you know? It's not just me changing what I'm doing because I failed once and I'm like, oh, I gotta just do what other people do, or I just gotta, whatever I'm doing sucks and it's not working. I gotta give myself that credit. Like, again, the homie was reminding me, is like, you made great fucking progress, you know? You put in the most effort on your technique and your form. Your core's never been stronger. Your overall strength has never been better. It's just a matter of the level of fatigue was taking me out, and it was leading to increased risk of injury. So I was like, okay, it's not that what I'm doing isn't okay and isn't correct. It's just not as efficient as it could be. So the first 2 parts of each block will be percentage based. I will write out the reps and sets beforehand. So like today I did 5 working sets per exercise. And then next part of the block, I'll probably do 4 sets per exercise. And then on the last week of the block, on my main snatch and my main clean and jerk days, and on the days where I do back to, like, sorry, that got way too convoluted. On my main snatch and clean and jerk days, I will be doing rep max types style training on those days. And then when it comes to my bench and squat days, I will rep max my bench and my squat, but I will not rep max my clean and jerk and my snatch on those days because it's meant to be an accessory lift when I'm doing back squat and bench. And what was taking me out so much in the last program was I was doing the full lifts to the full extent every single day, and my body only had enough energy for some of it. I feel like I would only get halfway through 3 days of training before my body would start giving out and I couldn't do anything anymore. So I'm very excited. I think it's going to be the next propulsion into the future that I need to have as great a passion as I can. You know, I love maintaining as high a passion I can, but god damn it, when you get these new ideologies, these new experiences, I feel like the passion is limitless. It always is. It is truly just a mentality. So take it with a grain of salt. I hope it's not a big ramble sesh for this video, but I love expressing the way these things make me feel, because I feel that, like I said, me seeing other people's experiences and perspectives helped me. I feel like people seeing what I go through and how I train may help someone find their next jump to the future, you know? Not that you need to take anything I say with any, like, priority or, like, whatever. It's just a matter of looking at what you're doing and saying, okay, am I happy with what I'm doing? Do I feel physically good with what I'm doing? And am I making progress in what I am attempting to do better at? You know, in my case, I do strength training. Some people who do bodybuilding will have to be like, okay, well, am I more cut this cycle than the last one? You know? I don't know too much about how that goes, but regardless, there's an endless mixture of things you could do in the gym. You know, you could be a bodybuilder that does Olympic lifts. I'm an Olympic lifter that does power lifts, but I started as a full power lifter, and then I was a power lifter that did some Olympic lifts. You know, there's so many different things you can do, and then you can be a mixture of a whole bunch of different shit. But don't get me started about like strongman competitions. Like that's a whole different fucking ball game that I could never give clear, straight cut advice about. But the perspectives of other people can make you the best version of you that you never knew was possible, I guess is what I'm trying to get to. So I want to leave it there. I feel like I went off hard enough. I hope this style of video is kind of cool. I don't know how it's going to be perceived, whatever, but I at least really like seeing it because it's kind of I love seeing, like, the reason why I love these videos a lot, other than me just getting to spew about this shit, is I like seeing exactly what I went through in the day. And so this is just going to make it an even broader version of, like, I'm not trying to vlog every fucking second of my life, but, you know, just, like, catching a few, like, cool moments where I'm just, like, that's something that I can keep memorable. Because, you know, I feel like over time, your mind continuously tries to convince you that you remember certain things and you don't remember other things, and it's really hard to remember anything from childhood. Once you reach adulthood, it goes really fast. So I think doing stuff like this will at least allow me to have a good outlet to like look back and be like, oh man, like that was when I was going through either a really good part of my life or a really rough patch that I had to like really push hard to get through, and this is what I was doing in the day. And it's like, it'll be interesting to see. It's kind of the whole original idea I had in the first video I made. Like, if you go back to last October when I did the FOMO video, I talked about how when the next time I look back, I could be like a licensed psychologist, or I could be like lifting on a big stage, or I could be moved. I could be anywhere. I don't know, you know. And I love that ambiguity, and so I hope to be able to look back over and over and over as I do these videos so that I can continue to even give myself more perspective. So let me know how the lifts are going. I love hearing how everybody's been doing, and I'll be back tomorrow with some clean and jerk and back squat. I appreciate you staying around. See ya.